Welcome in, everybody. It is championship week. The semifinals for Section 1 boys and girls basketball are done. We move now to the goal ball championship games. 10 games coming up this weekend at the Westchester County Center. Of course, you can watch all the games live on NBC's Sports Edge and Play. Brought to you by Local Live. I'll be on the game broadcast. I will have a special coach guest for all of them. And I will also have three guys who've been working with me all week long, and they have done a fantastic job. Talked about them on Twitter today. They join us right now from their homes as we do our GameDay One preview show. Connor Gaffney from Horace, Greeley, Nick Natale from Pleasantville, and Josh Gershman from Briarcliff. All seniors, all, they're veterans. They've done Local Live with their schools, of all different things they've done, and they're athletes, and now they are joining me this week at the County Center, and they're the reason why the Instagram looks so good. They're a reason why I'm able to get to bed before 1 o'clock in the morning. So I give those guys all the credit, and we're going to break it down. They've watched all the semifinal games, and now they're going to talk some championships. So guys, let's get into it first. But before we talk about the championships, let's talk about, I didn't do a 5-star show this week. I didn't think I'd have time, but here we are. You guys have freed me up. So let's do 5 stars, and we'll start with the boys. And I think the obvious one is Jamison Stevens. We all talked about how well he played in that matchup, going up against Anthony Ficarata of Dows Ferry. And Stevens was, you guys said it, and Connor, I'll let you say this. You guys said that you felt that he was the best player or had the best performance of anybody this week.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. This guy was sizing up Ficarata from almost, he took up the ball from half court, and he would be, sizing up step back threes, a buzzer beater at the end of the first half. Absolutely amazing performance. It was like he was playing pickup basketball. So it was truly insane to see. I was happy I was on the call for that one because it was seriously like a masterpiece from him for sure.
It was. Best performance, as we said, belongs to him. And we go now to my pick for the my 5-star pick. And I thought Bryce Seward, I think all the New Rochelle guards can share in this, but I thought what Bryce Seward did coming off the bench and giving them a lift and giving New Rochelle a lift that Scarsdale just didn't get off the bench. And I thought that was a huge difference in the game, both ends of the floor. His numbers didn't add up to too much, but he was as impactful as anybody in the semifinals on the boys' side. So Bryce Seward is my pick for the 5 stars. Gersh, who is your pick?
I got Tyler Terrestein from Blindbrook. Yes, I know my Blackfoot Bears were probably pretty upset with that pick, but Terrestein had 28 points, and he was tearing our defense apart down low. He was bullying us. He honestly closed out the game when Briarcliff was inching closer. He kind of just said no, 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 and he kind of just put that game away.
He was impressive. I thought Blindberg as a whole was impressive. That Briarcliff made their run, as you expect a good team to do. They always make a run. But Terrestein, as you said, was just so good down the stretch. Connor, who is your pick for your 5-star?
I just have to go Xavier Lavelle, guy I interviewed after the win. He's a guy that plays so well alongside with Tommy Linehan, and he keeps the entire offense in sync, and you saw it throughout the entire game. Came out firing on all cylinders, and you notice how aggressive he was from the jump. And I was truly impressed because he's the reason why they won by 16. It's a big impact he had.
Yep, he was terrific scoring the basketball and, of course, leading the defense. I thought you were right. Xavier Lavelle was terrific. And Nick, wrap it up. Who's our final 5-star from the boys?
Yeah, so I got Henry Shoemaker from Rye. Shoemaker probably had the play of the week, maybe the play of the whole tournament. The alley-oop from Carson Miller off the backboard. Carson Miller did send us a DM and was like, by the way, that was intentional. And Shoemaker said it to us after the game. He had 16 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double from him. Junior guard. He's played well for them all year. I think he's been the most underrated player on their team. Obviously, you talk about Miller and Kesner and Wilmerth, but he, in my opinion, has been the MVP of their team. I've watched a couple of their games this year. Definitely has stepped up big for them this year. Same way he did in football for them, has in basketball this year. So that's why he's my 5-star.
All right, those are our 5 stars on the boys' side. We go down to the girls. Julia Scott, I think that's a no-brainer. She was so good for Albertus Magnus. She went for 26 points, 20 rebounds, block shots, altered shots. She's a very obvious choice for one of the 5 stars of the week. And then the other one, I think we struggled most about who was going to be the obvious choice because Cadence Nicholas was right there as well. 30 points performance. Her at the top of that press, and it's ridiculous what they're able to do by putting that 2-2-1 out there, Walter Panis, and just kind of overwhelming teams. And they did it again in their semifinals. They're back playing for a 3rd straight gold ball. Gersh, who's yours? Who's your 5-star on the girls?
I got Paige Tepidino from Rye. First time ever seeing her play. Apparently she's playing lax at USC, I hear. And she had 25 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, and 5 steals. She had herself game against Tappan Z. That was a back and forth game, but Teppadino did a great job closing that game out. And I have to say, she was so physical down low, driving, and she was also able to shoot the ball so well from beyond the arc. Really nice performance from Teppadino.
She was awesome, and I think that, yeah, the way she handled the pressure from Tappan Z down the stretch. And obviously, they're trailing, they're trying to come back and make a run in that game. But her handling the basketball was just it was special. Connor, who do you got?
Yeah, Ella Moon out of Dobbs Ferry made that one like an absolute cinema. Best fourth quarter performance out of anyone all week. I think three fourth quarter threes. 18 of her 26 points came in that quarter. And she said she was in a slump in that interview. So she didn't know she was going to hit that many threes in the fourth. So it was pretty cool to see. It's going to be also interesting to see how she does next round.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, let's not forget the fact that she got a tough foul called against her, probably a bad call against her in the final second of the first quarter as she was defending a long three. She gets called for the foul. She gets a technical foul because she just was too emotional, but she really settles herself down in time in that fourth quarter for that comeback win over
Yeah,
Blind.
they're also down 9. She
Yeah,
totally helped them like rally, come back. It was amazing.
it was amazing. And Nick, who we got to our final 5-star on the girls' side?
Yeah, so my 5-star on the girls' side is someone who may not have been talked about a lot this weekend, but Joey Levy of Ardsley. Corluka foul 3 fouls within the first 5 minutes of that game. And I know the four of us were sitting up there kind of being like, uh-oh, like, are they in trouble? Like, Westlake got off to a hot start. They didn't miss to start the game. And Levy kind of took over. She had 19 points, 6 assists, 3 steals. It was great all over the court. Took over that game, definitely, because Corluka didn't play at all in the first half. And Levy finished the first half with, I think, 9 of her 19.
Yeah.
So she really kept Ardsley in that game. You could tell as a senior, she was the leader of that team. They all followed her role. So that's why she got my 5-star.
All right, that's a good segue because our first game of championship weekend now, as we get to our previews portion of the show, is the Class A Girls Championship. It is Pelham against Ardsley, 1 versus 2. And Nick, you're going to lead us off on this one, breaking down this matchup. Let's just first start about the Ardsley side. They got away with a foul trouble to Eva Corluka in the semifinal to beat Westlake. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that Olivia Solage for Westlake got in her seven foul trouble also. Can they do that again, or do they need everybody on the court?
Yeah, 100%. I think Corluka, I think when she came back into the game, you could tell she was playing not her normal self. She was a little less aggressive than she normally is. I mean, she's the tallest girl out there.
Mhm.
So it's kind of hard. She's going to get foul calls that normal people don't get, but she's a great player. She's going to play D1 St. Bonaventure. I think that Ardsley does need Levy and Leah Burris also to step up again. Leah Burris played great at 12 points. The two of them, I think, as her co-stars, stepped up great in the Westlake game, but against a good team like Pelham, they definitely need to step up again. And Corluka, she's a star of the team. And for her to not be in foul trouble and stay in this game the whole time, come out obviously a little bit, but definitely stay in for most of the game. Ardsley, I think, helps Ardsley a lot.
And this is a very difficult matchup for her, I think, for Corluka in the sense that she was going up against the top post player in Olivia Solage, who also got into foul trouble. Taylor Green, though, she's terrific, and she was dominant inside against Hen Hud in their semifinals. So what do you like about Pelham with Green?
Yeah, I think Taylor Green may have been. I honestly, she could have gone a 5-star too. She played great for Pelham. She definitely. Hen Hud is a good team. Kalen Russo, obviously over there. But Taylor Green really was the star of the game for that one. She had 27 points and dominated the offensive glass. I think she had like 6 offensive rebounds. That's all second chance points. And that was a close game. It wasn't a blowout. It was a pretty close game the whole way through. And those second chance points in big games are the difference maker. And especially when you have someone down low who's so dominant and so aggressive and is willing to fight for the ball, that's what propels teams to make to championship games like Pelham did. Taylor Green definitely could have gotten some more recognition. But she was a superstar this week.
I think we're all kind of shaking our heads, being like, "Oh, that seemed like so long ago that she had that performance. It was the first game of the week, but she really did. She was terrific. She could have got a 5-star, but we give her a props right now because I think we're all a little bit on the same. Who do we like to win? Nick, you're going to start us off.
Yeah, I go Ardsley. I think that Pelham, obviously Val Caracas was lost early in the season, and these two teams met earlier in the year. Ardsley did win 65-62 in overtime with Caracas playing. So Pelham's down maybe their best or second best player now in this championship game. And I do think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be close. But I think Corluka and Levy and company are going to be too much for Green and Pelham to handle.
Josh, who do you like?
I'm gonna have to agree with Nick here. I'm taking Ardsley, and I think it's not gonna be as close as we think. I mean, they got probably the best player on the court with Court Lucas. So I'm gonna go with Ardsley.
All right, Connor, who do you like?
Yeah, as good as Pelham and this Taylor Green magic is going. I think this Ardsley girls team just has everything going their way. Levy, Burris, they're playing lights out, and they have to continue playing lights out. That's what they're gonna do. Yeah, give me the Panthers winning the gold ball.
Wow, I thought we were all gonna be on the same page. I think Pelham's gonna win. I watch these matchups and I really think that the inside matchup with Corluka and Green it sort of neutralizes. And I really was impressed so much with how well the Pelham guards handled. I think when you look back at Val Caracas getting hurt, she was a freshman guard. She was really the catalyst of the offense. And their season could have totally went down the tank in the middle of the year, but they just refused to let it happen. I think their guards got better. I think the opportunity was a rise for a lot of the players. I think we see Brooke Green improving so much around her sister Taylor Green. So I think Pelham finds a way. So I'm going to be the outlier here. I like Pelham, and that is our first difference. We're going to find out. People are going to be shouting on one of us at the county center this week. Our other matchup goes to on the boys' side, and
Yes.
give me the your thoughts about this matchup. We'll start with Byram Hills first, and they've dominated all year long, but they didn't really dominate in the semis.
Yeah, I mean, Byram, I feel like they went into that game kind of being like, all right, like we know we're going to the gold ball game. Like they knew they were better than Nanuet, and I give Nanuet props. They played well. They played their hearts out. You could tell. Me and Gaff were there. We kind of saw like the student section walking with like county center shirts on, and to us, we were like, all right, like this is a big deal for them. Like this means a lot to them.
Yeah.
So we were interested to see how that game was going to play out. I think Byram did get a little sloppy at times, but they're a good team. They have three guys who can easily take over a game, in my opinion. And we saw that last year. They won the gold ball. They beat Rye. And they're guys that have been here before. A Phoebe, a Mendendo, and a Seisler. The three of them. That's their big three over there. And I think that the three of them, because they've been here, know what to do. And they only have two losses all year. One to Rye being a double A, and one to Scarsdale being a triple A. They haven't lost an A team all year.
One of their big wins was over their opponent in the championship, Pearl River. So tell me about Pearl River coming into this game, what you saw in the semifinal matchup and their win over Albertus, and can they turn this around?
Yeah, I mean, I think Pro River looked really good. Like they're a young team. They have a lot of young underclassmen that play for them. TJ Lanise, arguably their best player, is a junior. He's a great athlete. We played against him in football. He's good. He has a good arm, but on the basketball court, he had 20 points in the win over Albertus. But they also have great senior leadership. Guys like Jack Wysowski played great. He had 13 in that win too for them. And I think that Pro River, I think it'll be a good game. I do think it will start off close, but again, like we said, Pro River is a young team, and they look good in the semifinal win over Albertus, but I don't think Albertus compares even close to how Byram's going to play them.
No, and I think we're all on the same page, definitely on this one. Who do you like to win?
I got Byram. Like I said, it's gonna be a good game to start, but I think Byram pulls away. The big three for Byram are gonna be too much for Lanise and company to handle. I think for Pro River. So give me Byram in not such a close game.
Josh?
Give me Byram Hills as well. Yes, their big three has been so good all year long. Afobe, Seisler, and Eminetta. Tell me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Seisler hurt for some of last season as well? So
Yeah, he was. Yep.
now he's fully healthy. And again, this team was back in the finals last year, I know, and I'm pretty sure the year before. They've had so much experience, and I'm taking them. I think it's going to be a nice margin for Byram Hills in this win.
Connor, Byram Hills wins?
Yeah, Pearl River, it was fun. They're a good young team. But Byram just thrives in games like this. They're disciplined, they're well coached, and it's okay to say defense wins games because that they proved it last game. And yeah, give me the Bobcats winning the gold ball.
I got a quick little note on Byram, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. What do you got?
So I didn't play basketball this year, but I used to play growing up. I played against the Phobie and Seisler and all these kids. They used to dominate us. They were the only team that could beat us when we were younger. So ever since we were younger, it was kind of a joke with us that like a Phobie was going to be like a beast. Watching him play, it's kind of shown. So I think, that was my quick little note.
Also, I wanted to add, Max Miller, who's one of the star guards, when I played JV 2 years ago, he killed us. Like he had maybe like 35 points. It was unreal. But
it's kind of athlete.
Josh, who did you play against on Byram Hills?
So I was gonna try to add on to Nick. So when I played Tri-County ball when I was, in fifth grade, I'm obviously pretty short, and Afobe was like a giant back then. So it was so funny playing against him. He was super tall though back then. And now it's kind of like even now a little bit, but he's still taller. But it was Byram, we were younger, would usually beat us, but it was kind of like a close game, I would imagine.
So
but
Byron beat all of our interns here at GameDay One, and they're going to be Pro River for the championship. So that's my pick as well. So we go 4 for 4 on Byron Hills. Let's move now to Saturday afternoon's games. We start at noon with the Tuckahoe girls taking on Haldane. Haldane is kind of the Cinderella story of championship weekend. The fact that they beat a North Salem team, they lost to twice in the regular season. But Gersh, you and I sat together and watched Tuckahoe girls. I don't even, you haven't seen them this year. I don't think they played all that great, and they're up 20-0 in the game. What were your thoughts walking away from that?
yeah, no, I mean, I don't think they played that great either, but they have so much talent. I think that everyone on that team can play on that Tuckahoe team, and they're so young as well. You got Chloe Angelo, who's I think only a freshman, and she's so good. You got Brooke
Matarazzo, yep.
yeah, Brooke Maserati, Grace Kearns, Juliana Maganelli. This, that's all young. And again, I think this Tuckahoe team has so much growth still, but I think this is a good team, and I like them over Haldane. I think it's gonna be probably a blowout, but we'll see. And I'm a big fan of Coach Sill, even though I've never met him. I just love his energy on the bench, and I also love how he, dresses for game days. And you're right, Kevin. I don't think they played that great against KO, but I think they'll be ready. Might have been because they had a long layoff, but this is going to be, I think, an easy win for this young Tuckahoe squad.
All right, so this wasn't in our notes. So I'm going to ask you a question about Coach Sill. Silvio DeSalvatore, the head coach of Tuckahoe. He wore a tiger print suit this year to the county center. He's worn orange suits. He has very well manicured hair. To adults like myself and people there, they all look at him and think, oh, and I don't think this, but other adults look at him and think, oh, what is he doing? What is he wearing? But as a high school seniors like you guys are, and as high school athletes, does that stuff matter to you, Gersh? Is that does this energy, would that make a difference to you as a player?
Honestly, I think it kind of shows that he cares. I think by wearing that, kind of shows that he's still young and he's not one of those old grumpy coaches that just kind of yells. And no, he's honestly there for the players, which I kind of love. And the fact that I actually know that he, is wearing that stuff because I'm all the way in Briarcliff and us in Tuckahoe don't really play sports that much is definitely just great for the section and great for Tuckahoe as well.
I love it. Who do you? I mean, obviously we're gonna pick Tuckahoe to win, Gersh.
Yeah, no, I'm picking Tuckahoe and maybe line.
Tuckahoe girls win.
Yeah, Tuckahoe girls win. I don't think it's a close one.
Connor?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Tuckahoe. I mean, they just have like a luxury of several different players, guards that can just shoot the ball, score. Mercer Peters had 25 for Hennard, for Haldane.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Tuckahoe's just too strong in this matchup.
I agree. Mercer Peters impressed me a lot, and I admire the way Haldane was able to come back after losing North Salem twice in the regular season, beating them in the semis to get to the final. But it's going to be a tall task. I like Tuckahoe to win and go on back onto the state tournament, and maybe even get back to the state championship game. We go now to the Class C boys, and Josh will stick with you. Breakdown of Tuckahoe. I know you kind of were out the door. You watched a little bit. You've learned about them in this past week or so, but it just feels like they're just too big. Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just going to start with North Salem at first, actually, if you don't mind, because I've actually seen them play twice because they played against Briarcliff as well. And from what I know about North Salem is that, first of all, it's so hard to tell who's who on the court because they all got that blonde hair. I don't know from soccer or from what, but anyway, Max Cotrone is there. He's been probably like their best player, but you got Justin Major, Jameson Kwan, Connor Meehan. I mean, North Salem has talent, but I said I don't think they don't have a big win this year. Right? And Tuckahoe's got size, Jack Bamford, Luca Del Conti. They just got really good guards as well. Lucas Jolly, Ryan Gentry, and I really think that just the size that Tuckahoe has, it's going to be too much for North Salem to deal with. It's going to be not as close as we think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on Tuckahoe, and I'm going to be curious to see how they respond because they didn't play all that well in the second half against Children's Village. They didn't really need to. Children's Village got it close, but not really. Didn't really threaten the lead, and I'm not even sure Tuckahoe ran a play. I don't think they ran an offensive play in the game. So we like Tuckahoe to win?
Yes, I do.
Nick, Connor?
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
All picking Tuckahoe. So now we're back.
You gotta get the brooms out.
Tuckahoe's bringing home 2 gold balls.
2 gold balls. There's only them and Rye have a chance to do that. So we move now to our Class AA girls final. Rye and Walter Panis. We start. Connor, it's your turn. Let's talk about these 2 heavyweights going
Yeah,
toe to toe.
two heavyweights that are to go toe to toe. I mean, high scoring, back and forth action. Paige Tepedino, 25 points. Phoebe Grotto, 18 points. They've both been lights out. They have to stay lights out. But Rise, they have a hungry group. They showed that they have several guards that can shoot. But it's two words. It's Cadence Nicholas, and can they stop her? That's the real question. She had 34 points to go along with all the other seniors on that like fantastic team. And Panis also beat Rye by 19, I believe, last month, Kevin. I don't know when the game exactly was,
Yeah, a
but
couple weeks ago.
this
Late,
matchup
late
will
in the
definitely
season.
be
Yeah.
closer, but we'll have to see for sure.
Yeah, what impressed you? I mean, is seeing Panis's defense live. And like the other part is that the four of us sat in the front row of the balcony, so you even get to see just kind of how good it is from an aerial view. How impressed were you with what you saw defensively from
They're
Panis?
just aggressive. Like they want it right from the jump as soon as the ball goes up in the air. Like they're big, they're fast, they're a gritty team. It's similar to kind of like Greeley over here. Like we're more of a guard sized team, but like we'll just be fast and every player is able to run up and down the floor. So it's cool to see Panis having the year that they are right now.
Five seniors, all veterans, all part of
Yeah.
two Gold Ball championship teams, looking for a third. Who do you like?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Panis just because it's gonna be too hard for Rye to catch up with the scoring. I think pace wise, Panis go is just more fast and they like every player can get to the rim, so I think Panis takes this one home.
Nick, who do you like?
Um, it is a tough one for me, but I like Panis. I think a matchup of the week is Tepedino versus Nicholas. Very interested to see how Tepedino's gonna guard her. She's a great defender, like Josh before she's going to Southern California to play lacrosse. So
Mhm.
quick with her feet. But I got Panis. I think Panis experience definitely helps them.
Connor, who do you like? Oh, Josh, who do you like?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm taking Panis as well. That duo they have is just going to be unstoppable against Rye, I think. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be as close as we think, but also I just think Panis has been so good for such a long time now, and they were so good during the season. I mean, I think it's going to be an easy one for Panis. I'm taking Panis.
I'm going to take Panis as well. I don't think it's going to be easy. I thought Phoebe Grotto, the way she rebounded for Rye was really good. I think Kiara Williams for Walter Panis is going to have her hands full. Kiara Williams doesn't do a lot of scoring, but she's been 12 or more rebounds per game all season long. And I love the way pieces all fit together. But I think Tepedino is going to be able to. I don't know who she's going to guard. I don't know if she's going to guard Nicholas or she's going to guard Tavares. I'm not sure. But either way, I think Grotto inside and watch out. I think this Rye team is gonna challenge. I think we're gonna have a game in the fourth quarter, but I do think Panis wins. I think.
Actually, I agree. I think it's gonna be a closer one. We
Yeah.
could see a first overtime game for sure. I don't
Wow.
know.
Okay.
I
Good.
think, yeah,
Maybe.
I agree.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and like you said, like Greto down low is going to be a problem for them. If
Yeah.
they can figure that out, though, Panis definitely has it.
Yeah, and it's got to get down low. That's the problem. Usually it stops at half court with all the steals that they get. Our Double A championship game. This could be maybe the first team to score 40 points wins the championship. It is
Yeah.
Rye against number one seed Tappan Z. Connor, you're taking this one. Let's go with what you think. As we said, is it going to be the low scoring game that everyone expects?
I think so. I mean, it's going to be entertaining. Like that, it still does mean it's going to be entertaining, but it's going to be low scoring for sure. I mean, Rye even came out a little flat against Yorktown last game, but they still rallied with Shoemaker, Kessner. Like once you get those guys going, they go. So they're talented all around on the floor. With Shoemaker's size, Kessner will make game changing plays. But I mean, the real question is like, how is Tappan Z's defense really going to shut them down? I mean, if they could shut them down early, then like that's the goal. Then they have it there from the start. But they just got to force Rye to make some mistakes, and then they should be good.
Yeah. One thing though is that we watched Peekskill, right? So Tappan Z beats Peekskill.
Yeah.
I thought that Tappan Z got in Peekskill's head early in this game. I don't know if you can get in Rye's head. I mean, do you think that?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at all the big game experience that these players have,
I don't know. I just the energy was different, like with Linehan and Laville, like those guys scoring, like with how they're playing right now, it's dangerous, like the level that they're playing. But even in the last game of the season, Tappan Zee, like they just dropped that. Kevin, we talked about that one like earlier.
yeah.
They just like somehow just dropped that game. You know, Linehan didn't play. But yeah, I think the Dutchmen rally. So it's going to be energetic, loud. for sure.
I was at the Rye Tappan Zee game. It was at Rye, last game of the season, last Saturday of the season. Tappan Zee was going to be the number one seed no matter what. They weren't going to push Tommy Linehan because he's still been fighting an ankle injury. And George Gain, it was like somebody took the batteries out of him as a coach. So he didn't get off the bench. I had another game. I don't know if what he really did X's and O's wise. I don't think he made any adjustments. I think he let the team play. He wanted to see. I think it was more just like, let's get a chance to see Rye. He basically got to go watch them practice for an hour and a half is what he got to do as the Tappan Zee coach. So it is an interesting matchup. I will say this, and Nick, this is gonna hit home for you, man, as a Pleasantville football player. There's got to be something, and there's got to be an advantage for Rye when you look at guys like Shoemaker, Miller, Kessner, Patty McGuire, all these football players. In the last 2 years, the biggest football games played 2 years ago was Rye Pleasantville regular season, Rye Pleasantville championship. They were bigger games for Rye than they were in the state championship, and they also had a game against Harrison, right? So that's another game. This year in football, those guys had the Harrison game. They had 2 games against Somers, the games of the decade, right? So those are 2 matchups. So all these players have those experiences. They played last year at the county center. They played a championship game against Byram Hills, which was built as the best game going into the weekend. This experience has to matter for them at some point. They've won some of those games, they've lost some of those games. But do you feel like they've got to be, Nick, they got to have some comfort in a spotlight after all that they get to do year in, year out?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, yeah, like you said, like kind of hits home. We played them twice last year. We got them once at our place. But like they kind of did what Tappan Zee did. They kind of sat a couple of their guys. Like I don't really get to. They sat a couple of their guys. Second championship came out firing, scored 21 straight on us, came back a little bit, but they were big. I play a line. They were big. They had some big. I've never faced anyone in my life that was as big as Charlie Sorak. I would say like those kids were huge.
Yeah.
Couple guys, but yeah, something about Ryan playing in big games. Definitely, they're experienced in every sport. Look at lacrosse too.
Lacrosse, I love lacrosse. Yeah,
I was talking about my friends today. Like something about the kids in Rye, basketball, even baseball. They're competitive. They're in the Final Four every year.
Yeah,
and I think their worst sport. And for some schools, being in the Final Four in any sport is your best sport.
Yeah.
So the fact that like they go to second championship in lacrosse, basketball, girls basketball, even football, soccer, they won the state championship, right? State championship. They're just an athletic school. So you got the Rye definitely has an advantage.
Yeah, and that department I think they do. But TC's a basketball school. So Connor, who do you like to win?
Rye's impressive. Like Nick, like you said, they're a flag school, but I think this TZ defense is legit. They're gonna like humiliate them for sure. I don't know until when, but it's gonna be a close one until the end. They're not gonna run away with it.
There's not gonna be one easy possession, right? Nick, who do you like?
I like Tappan Zee. You brought up in the broadcast. We were sitting next to you, so I heard you. The year they won the state championship, their defense allowed what the teams are averaging. They played like 65 points a game. The defense allowed like 33.
Yeah.
It's like a cliche, but defense wins championships. And a team like Tappan Zee, so Coach Gaines, he preaches defense.
Yeah.
And I think that the experience of Tappan Zee, a guy that we haven't really talked about a lot is Jack Bacone. He was kind of their hero 2 years ago, right? As a sophomore, playing in the state championship. He lives for big games. Last year he was hurt. They didn't really have the edge, but I think this year he's coming back, definitely a little more hungry after coming off the injury. So he's someone to watch for me, and I think Tappan Zee gets done.
All right, Josh, who do you like to win?
I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna say Rye, and honestly, Tappan Zee didn't really impress me that much against Peekskill. Again, they weren't bad. Obviously, they won the game and all, but I did notice something. They don't like to sub at all, right? They had their whole 5 players for most of the game, and I wasn't really a big fan of that. And I think a team playing against Rye, who's a big physical team, who's had experience, maybe not in basketball, but in football. And again, they have been in so many championship games before, so they know the type of environment they're playing in. And again, Shoemaker, Kessner, Miller, I mean, all these good, they've been so good in football and basketball. And again, Rye really didn't impress me against, again, that Yorktown team is a very good basketball team as well. And I think I think they're kind of more ready coming into this game than Tappan Zee, and you guys can totally not agree with me as you kind of already did, but I'm taking Rye.
Taking Rye, Josh taking Rye. I'm going to take Tappan Zee, and I think it's a close game. I think Rye has improved a lot over the course of the season. I think they found their identity under a new coach, Tom Prudia. I think Tappan Zee wins, but I think it's going to be closer than people might expect. We move on now to the Class AAA championship. Now, before this week, I would have thought that a championship involving Albertus Magnus would not be close no matter who it was. Then I watched Catch 'em play, and Nick, we're going to let this go to you. Let's start with Albertus first.
Mhm.
They're another team that doesn't go deep into the bench. They played five players most of the game also. What were your impressions watching the team around Julia Scott?
Yeah, I think that Albertus had all four girls on the court besides Julia Scott. Definitely, they do their jobs, and that's what you need. We spoke to Julia after the game, and she kind of mentioned that like everyone kind of just fills into their roles well. She said they graduated their whole starting lineup essentially, and new girl stepped up. Someone huge for them is Sarah. I'm sorry if I botched the last name.
Najai? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's a freshman. She looked great. She had 12 points. She also had a couple nice assists, and she was aggressive. She got a couple rebounds too. I was impressed watching her play. And Maddie Zuppi, she was probably one of the best passers I saw all weekend. I think she had like 7 assists, 8 assists. She was great, and I think the supporting cast around Julia Scott is what makes them a better team. And Coach Buckley definitely is big on them trying to get involved too, because obviously we have a player that good. It's
Yeah.
like you did kind of win games or easier when you have the best player on the court, but having the second level girl step up helps them a lot.
Ketchum knocked off Ursuline, that is Alberta's opponent, in the semifinals. What were your thoughts watching Ketchum? I think I think they beat Ursuline once, so it wasn't a huge upset that they won. I kind of had Ursuline going to the championship. I thought they were going on neutral floor, but what were your thoughts watching this Ketchum team?
Yeah, same. I kind of go like you said. Like I had Ursuline I was in my head picturing Albertus, Ursuline, Nashville against Scott, two of the best players going at it. And then Ketchum, they surprised me. I didn't really know too much about them heading into this, and I found out they won the section last year.
Mhm.
Jacayla Cook down low was amazing for them. She had one of the best performances of the week too. I think her versus Scott down low is going to be a fun matchup. Watching the two compete. Obviously, Scott is she's a year older than her. Jacayla Cook's only a sophomore though. But watching her play, you'd think she's a senior. She was so dominant down low, so aggressive. She controlled the paint so well. And yeah, like Ketchum, both teams have won a section championship in the past year. I was Ketchum doing it in AAA. It's a little bit harder, but I don't think they played a team like Albertus. So I think that's where it kind of evens out a little bit more.
Absolutely. Who do you like to win?
I like Albertus. When you have someone like Julia Scott, the best player in the section, or maybe she's ranked nationally. She's one of the best players in the country.
Yeah.
2026.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. She's actually ranked 30th
Yeah.
in the class, so it's
Yeah,
big time
yeah,
stuff.
when you have someone like that, I always this is like a little thing I have. Like when you're the best player on the court in any sport, best player on the field, whatever, you have a good chance to win. When you someone who could take over a game like that, like she can, like we saw against Suffern, it's just a huge advantage for you. And if she can go out there and dominate like she has all year, her whole career essentially, I don't see why Albertus doesn't win this one and make another run at a state title.
Connor, who do you like?
As I was getting better at my camera skills, like I could see how Julia Scott would just literally, she wouldn't have to move. She just put her hands up and she would grab a rebound and score. So it's gonna be hard to stop. I'm gonna go Magnus as well.
And Josh?
I'm gonna have to go with Albertus Magnus as well. But I will say, I do think Cook and Scott will have a good matchup down low. I do think Scott will probably win that matchup, but I think it'll be a fun matchup to watch. But again, I do think Magnus have the much better guards than Ketchum, which I think again Zupi, as you said, is so good with just handling the ball. And I think Magnus kind of has that big advantage over Ketchum. I think that's kind of where the game's going to be decided.
I have a hard time. I'm sorry, guys. I have a hard time picking against Pat Mealy, the Ketchum coach. I've watched him win so many baseball championships and obviously in basketball 2 of the last 3 years. But I will pick Albertus Magnus, but I feel a lot less confident in that pick than I did about 24 hours ago after watching those 2 games because I didn't think Albertus Magnus played great in the second half. I thought Suffern kind of showed he could be a little physical and get up on the guards. And I thought that Ketchum overall was just awesome from the start, and they just took it to Ursuline. So those are our picks for the AAA. We go now to Sunday's quadruple header. We've got to move quick here now. Our Class B final, we'll have Connor take this one on the girls' side. Dobbs Ferry and YMA. Let's start with YMA. You looked at this roster and you saw all these underclassmen, Connor. Did you have an expectation of them being this good?
No seniors, one junior. I mean, it doesn't matter. They have seventh grader, eighth graders. They're still playing basketball at a high level, which is like amazing. Like it's crazy. Like Mustafa Sutherland, I think they combined for 33 points. they just got everything going. They're well coached, well disciplined, and once they get in their rhythm, they don't stop. So they build that momentum up really fast, and they're dominant in the paint too. They're hard to stop. So
And
yeah.
they're facing a Dobbs Ferry team in the championship, which looked like they were done going into the fourth quarter against Blind Brook. Kendall Konigsberg was sensational. You thought, oh boy, like how is YMA gonna,
Yeah.
they when they're getting, how are they gonna stop Kendall Konigsberg? She's not there. Dobbs Ferry is. So how did that happen?
I mean, down nine, we can believe it when they're just trading threes back and forth. I mean, Ella Moon is like absolutely like that's my star for a reason. It's just I feel like in a game like this, they I feel like they can't ever go down that much because it'd be too hard to catch up. But still, it was unbelievable seeing that Dobbs Ferry team come back. And it's going to be interesting to see if YMA could shut them down. It's two good offenses, so it's going to be a good matchup. Yeah.
Who do you like?
I'm gonna go. I was going YMA all afternoon, but I'm gonna go Dobbs Ferry. I'm gonna go
Wow.
Dobbs Ferry. Yeah.
Dobbs Ferry. Nick, who do you got?
Eagles.
I'm going one of my two upsets of the weekend here. I'm going Dobbs. I like Dobbs. Yeah, I think having the senior leadership for Dobbs definitely helps them. Obviously, we said YMA is no seniors. But they've had girls who played in games like this, but like last year they lost to Pleasantville, the quarterfinals though. So I think they were hungry this year. But I don't know, something about Dobbs. They feel like one of the teams of like destiny. Like they came back for a reason. Like they came back, and I think they're going into this game with the mentality that they can win. So give me Dobbs.
Josh, who do you got?
I'm gonna keep it going. Give me Dobbs. And
Wow.
also, I mean, I know obviously YMA is the, favorite and all, but I think Dobbs get, they are a lot of seniors on their team, and I really just again how Moon played against Blindbrook I thought was just amazing. I thought she had a huge fourth quarter, and I'm thinking Dobbs, and also what Nick said, he thinks they're destined for something big, and I think he's right. So yeah, give me Dobbs.
Kevin, also when I was on call with Coach Mack, he's like from Briarcliff, actually, he's a girls coach. He was like the schedule that YMA had was like softer than
That's true.
other teams, and like they had a cupcake schedule, so Dobbs is playing harder opponents. You got to give him the edge. Older team, more experience. Yeah.
I will agree with the scheduling. I will agree the team of destiny. I'll agree with all that stuff. But I think when it matters, YMA is the better team. I don't love all the pressure that's being put on YMA, but I think you guys just took a lot of pressure off them by the three of you having watched all these games. So I think if the YMA players are watching and their coaches are watching, they're probably feeling really good that 3 out of the 4 are picking them to lose. I'm going to stick with YMA. I felt early in the season they were just really, really good. They won the city again. They've been dominating the city, and it's been a very long time since a girls program from Yonkers has won a a section championship. And I think that YMA ends the streak, and they go and they host the Gold Boys. So Gold Ball. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited that we all differ on this one. We go now to our final game. That is the B Boys Championship. It is Woodlands taking on Blind Brook. And Nick, you're gonna take this one. Give me your thoughts on Jamison Stevens and just how dominant he was.
Yeah, I mean that was performance of the weekend. Besides Julie Scott, I think that was amazing. He was pulling up from three. When he started pulling up from three, I was like, all right, this kid's really good.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know much about Woodlands coming into this game. Watching them play, in my head, I was like, this team can win a state championship. Like watching them play, how close you could tell they're all friends off the court. Like the way they were all meshing together on the court, and that's what you need. You need to like when you play with your friends. Like we were talking to James Stevens afterwards, and the way he was talking, like you could just tell like how much he loves those kids. Like and that those are his best friends. Like you could tell. And he dominated down low. What, 25 and 13 we said he had. Amazing. Pulling up from three. I was shocked I asked him, I interviewed him after the half, or before the half, he hit the three. And he looked at Aaron Woodbury looked at him like, whoa, like he knew like something. He was like on when that game. But yeah,
Mac also after the interview, he's literally saying he's like, "This is my home court." He's
yeah.
like he was fired up. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, this is he's like, I want to hit a three in the county center. He hit four.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
And he's like a big kid. Like he's tall. Like he's definitely a center. And having a big man who can shoot like that, you watch in the NBA with like Jokic and like Karl Anthony Towns, like those are the good teams. Like when you can space the floor like that, that definitely is an advantage that other teams do not have.
It's like DJ Burns. Like
Yes.
Yeah, it's fair, very fair, very, very competitive. Blind Brook, does Blind Brook have a chance here? I mean, we talked. I'm not saying I have a chance, but they beat Woodlands in the regular season. Do they have a chance though to do it on the big stage, the big floor, and after what you watched out of Woodlands?
Yeah, so Blindbrook did beat them earlier in the year, 48-46. It was really early though in the year. I think like maybe like game 4 or 5 for them. So it
Mhm.
was super early. I think the teams were still young. Woodlands did graduate a couple kids. So a couple of new kids kind of filling roles. So I think the two teams weren't where they are at now. Obviously, Blindbrook as a Tyler Terrace team, we talked about him before. Was great this weekend. Also, someone else who didn't get talked about for them is Noah Brookman.
Mhm.
He had 21 points. He was firing from three, and I think Terrestine being so dominant down low opened up Brookman a lot more from three because they would have someone crash down on him. He'd kick it out, and he was a great passer. I saw Tyler Terrestine hit a no look, and I was sitting up at the balcony, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like that was crazy. And he's an athlete. I mean, he's a Ryan Moss, one of the GameDay One partners, was telling me
Yeah.
that he's one of the soccer players, and he scored 100 points as a sophomore in lacrosse.
Yeah.
He's an athlete, and you could tell watching him play that he's an athlete. And Brookman too of Blindbrook, the two of them, I think if they play as well as they did the other day, they have a good chance of winning this game.
Absolutely. Who do you like to win?
I like Woodlands. Like I said, I think I don't know something about them. I was watching them. I was like, this team could win a state title. I don't know how good they were good last year. I know they won the section last year. I didn't watch them play. But Aaron Woodbury also and Sebastian Benitez, I think is the key role player for them. He had 10 points and like 8 rebounds for them, and he didn't get talked about at all because obviously Jameson Stevens and Aaron Woodbury are their two superstars. But Benitez is a great three. I mean,
Mhm.
they have 5 options in my opinion who could go out there and score and kind of take over a game. But having like someone like Benitez being knowing his role and being so good at it gives Woodlands the edge. And no disrespect to Blindbrook, but I think this would be too much for them. And Stevens versus Terrestine down lows would be fun to watch. Two great athletes going at it.
Josh, this is your class. Who do you like?
You know, it is. So I think it's gonna be closer than we think. I'm still gonna take Woodlands. Also, something else I've noticed is that Woodlands has their fans come to these games and they get a big showing. Blindbrook, again, I just looking in the semis, I didn't see like a lot of fans for them. And I was talking to some of my boys back home in Briarcliff, and they were saying when they played against Woodlands on the road, it was like they had all their fans there. It was like no one from Briarcliff, so it's totally different environment. And again, Woodlands is their defense too, something to keep an eye on. Their fights, their defense, and Woodbury, Stevens, and on the other hand, Blindbrook, I like them too, but I think that Blindbrook doesn't have that type of just experience in these big time games that Woodlands does. So I'm
Yep.
taking Woodlands.
And Connor, who do you like?
Yeah, that second half versus Dobbs from Woodlands was unbelievable. I can't pick against them. And Greeley actually scrimmaged them before our first playoff game. He's like all the boys from there, they're like Woodbury's unbelievable. So it's like I don't think Stevens was there, but Woodbury was. So
Yeah.
I think they're unstoppable for sure.
Woodbury was awesome. Stevens is awesome. I think Benitez is another one. I think this team is ready to win back-to-back gold ball. So we've now handed out 9 teams to championships. We have that one game left. It was the game that I skipped over because it's the biggest game, right? Is New Rochelle in North Rockland playing for the Class AAA Boys Championship. This is typically the game that everyone circles in the calendar. It's usually noon on Sunday. This year it's actually the 2:30 game after the girls matchup. Let's start. Josh, you're going to take this one. New Rochelle, what did you see out of the Huguenots? What impressed you most going up against this very highly acclaimed Scarsdale team?
Yeah, no, something that I noticed from the get-go is that New Rochelle, they got shooters. Like they can drive and kick, and I think their 3-point shooters was something I really liked, and I thought they were so aggressive, just going downhill in that game, and obviously down low, Malik Gasper and Justin Cohen, that duo down low was scary, and I think they're going to be bullies down low. Also, something for North Rockland that I noticed is that their size I don't think is as good as New Rochelle size, if you know what I mean. I think
Hmm.
they got that. And no, they really did impress me in what Coach Young has going on over there. Also, he actually works for Briarcliff as a
Yeah.
security guard. So I don't want him to be, upset on Monday, obviously. But um I really was impressed. So that was a big win against a good Scarsdale team as well. And I think that's gonna get them ready for this one. Obviously, yes, North Rockland played against Mammo, and again, North Rockland, I thought their ball movement was great. They were so
Mhm.
good with their transition offense, and their ball movement was great. Their two guys down low, Nick, that last name he had so much trouble
Yeah,
with.
but
Oberfell.
I tagged him in the
Oberfell, definitely.
comments, and I was like, my bad. It was a
It's
long
always
day
it's
last
always the
game.
last interview. Like it
Yeah,
never.
Connor did it the other day too.
Yeah, I forgot the last name. Like yeah.
Yeah, it was a long
Oberfell.
day. I called
I
him
didn't
out.
pronounce it. Christian Oberfell and Jaden 32.
Quizada?
What is it?
Jaden Quizada?
Quizada. I
Yeah.
was gonna, pronounce it wrong anyway. So Kevin, thank you for
Yes.
jumping in. But no, that duo down low again. It was pretty balanced scoring for North Rock and down low, and just the whole entire game was pretty balanced. They played like a team, but I'm still liking New Rochelle. I just think they're meant for this moment more than North Rock, and they had a great upset against Mammo. Got to give them props and all. And that was a big win against Mammo, and how they handled that. Again, they had a big second quarter. North Rock on a 10-2 run to I think end the half, which was really impressive. And they kind of just were in cruise control for the rest of that game. And yeah, just props to them. But I am taking New Rochelle in this one. It's going to be a good game, though. It's going to be close, but I think that New Rochelle's guards are just going to be a little bit too shifty, and that's what I'm taking.
All right, New Rochelle is your pick. Nick, who do you like?
So I said I had two upsets. My second one is North Rockland. I don't even know if you consider it an upset. I mean, we were talking after the game. I didn't really know too much about North Rockland. I knew a lot about Mamaroneck coming into it. So I was like, oh, Mammo really should kind of run through them, right? And Kevin said it. You were like, I don't know. Like you said, North Rockland is going to be a good team, and they showed it. I was really impressed. Aaron Rivera, I think he's a sophomore.
Yeah, he is a sophomore.
He really impressed me. He had such composure for a young kid that really impressed me. And yeah, I got North Rockland pulling away with this one upset, continuing their run. I told them that last night. We were interviewing Christian, and I'm kind of like, I'm taking you as my Cinderella team. Like I got you guys.
Connor, who do you got?
Yeah, like I think everyone knows it. I think this game literally comes down to the final minute. And like I love watching North Rockland like get that upset win against Mammo. Kevin, you even said it. They're the most unappreciated team in Section 1. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. But when you look closely, like even more closely at New Rochelle's win, you could just see how aggressive they were from the jump. And in crunch time, they're so terrific. So that's really the question of this game. Who will be more effective in the crunch time? I think that team is New Rochelle.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that was that was an awesome build-up, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you were going with that, but that was awesome.
Yeah.
So two New Rochelle, one North Rockland so far. I'm gonna even it out. I'm going North Rockland. They impressed me so much last night, and it's funny. We had Scott Wright from Suffering, the coach, on last night on the game broadcast, and he kept saying about how no one talked about New Rochelle, no one talked about North Rockland, no one talked about North Rockland. It was directly at me because I didn't really talk about North Rockland all season long. I used to watch them a lot on Local Live, and I would just see red jerseys. It's basically what I really saw was I just felt like they were kind of a team that everyone kind of was really good. And then when you see them live, you're like, I don't know, everyone's kind of really, really good, and it makes them be a great basketball team. I think they win their second gold ball in 3 seasons. They've now been in the section championship 3 out of 4 years. And they lost to Mount Vernon 3 years ago. And they were undefeated going into that game, lost to Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon was undefeated, and Mount Vernon went on to win the state championship and remain undefeated. So that they were probably the second best team in the state 3 years ago. And they graduated 4 starters. They come back with the gold ball the next year with a whole new team, went to the state final and lost. Last year, they were upset by Mount Vernon, which went on to win the gold ball. And then this year, here they are playing. I'm not betting in North Rockland anymore. I'm not betting against them. I think this is a team that's on their way to make a run, and I think they go to the state final 4. They're going to probably run into Green Tech out of Albany, but I might not pick against them in that one either. So that is it. Those are our gold ball picks for our show, our Game Day One special. Connor, Nick, Josh, you guys were awesome. You brought some good energy, some great insight. What are your thoughts here now going into championship weekend? Final thoughts. Well, Nick, Connor, we'll start with you.
I think we're going to see a lot of good basketball. Like this North Rockland, New Rochelle matchup. I'm really excited to see 2 similar teams. Actually, they have Gasper, the big, and like a ton of other good matchups. You see Stevens, a lot of entertainment, girls matchups. And so far, like this week, you can even say some like the girls matchups could be better than the boys, like at the start of that week. But I think the boys caught up at the end. So I think we're going to see a really good weekend of basketball for sure.
Nick, final thought.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this weekend. I think all the games are gonna be great. Ride Tap and Z for me is my favorite one. The one I'm most excited for. Great, yeah, but great games all weekend. I'm very excited to see who wins, see if we're right, who's wrong.
Yeah.
Kind of a little like
Yes.
ride if you know if I'm right. So I'm excited about that.
We're gonna have to keep track of who had the most picks
Yes.
right. Josh, what are your thoughts? I know, Josh, you're gonna be on the road, but you're gonna be watching the games while you're.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm
right?
definitely gonna be, trying to watch the games. I mean, I'm gonna be kind of busy this weekend, but Sunday I'm gonna try to be there. I'm excited for Woodlands and Blindbrook just because I've seen those teams play, and I think it's gonna be a much closer game than we're all thinking. But it's gonna be some shining moments. That's all I gotta say, because we're also in March right now. It's gonna be upsets. It's gonna be drama. It's gonna be all this amazing stuff going on, and I'm just excited for this weekend, and we'll see who's gonna be crowned champs.
Awesome. You guys are great, man. This has been a fun week. You've made this week this is my favorite week of the year. You've made it even more fun. And this show is another example of that. So rest up. And we got a long weekend ahead, guys. 10 goal balls.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us. And
Hey,
we'll see you this weekend.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.